Okay, so the verse says as follows: Vayapel Adonai Elohim Tardema al ha'adam vayishan. So Hashem God, Havai Elohim, cast a deep sleep upon the man, and he slept. Vayikach achat mitzalotav, and he, meaning God, took one of his sides. Atzela is a side. Vayizgor basar tachtana, and he closed the flesh underneath it, where from the side that he extracted. Okay, so once again, Hashem, Havai Elokim, cast a deep sleep upon the man, and he slept. Might be superfluous. And he took one of his sides, and he filled in flesh in its place. The next verse. Vayiven Adonai Elohim et hatzela asher lakach min ha'adam li'isha. And Hashem Elokim built. Vayiven, and he built. Et hatzela, this side that he extracted from Adam, asher lakach min ha'adam, that he took from man, li'isha, for a wife. Vayiviyah el Adam, and he brought it, or her, he presented her to Adam. Okay. It is worthwhile to focus your attention. Why did God do this? Why did he make woman from man and not just make another body out of the earth, just like he made Adam? Vihine b'midrash in Bereshit Rabbah, Hiksha Rabbi Abba. Rabbi Abba asked the question. Pasuk Echad Omer, one verse says, Zachar unekeva bar'am, God made them, male and female. Pasuk Echad Omer, and another verse says, Vayivra Hashem Elokim et ha'adam. And Havai Elokim created the Adam. Right? It seems to be, right? He's asking from the two different stories. One seems to be that God created the species Adam, initially made up of discrete male and female. And the other one is the story that we just read, that there was an Adam and God extracted something from him and fashioned a woman out of it. Right? So he says, rather, this is what happened. B'tchila, initially, Allah b'machshava, it rose in thought, livro shnaim. It occurred to God to make two distinct creations at the same time, comprising Adam, which was made of a man and a woman, two totally separate creations, individuals. V'achakach, and afterwards, lo bara el echad. Rather, what did God do? He really made one. So on the level of thought, there are two separate entities, and yet, in actuality, God made one. V'hine bazeh tichbal hakushya. With that statement, our question is doubled. Lema lo asa kimachshavto. Why did he not do like it occurred to him in thought? Why is there a difference between, this is similar to that famous discussion that we had, Hashem Elokim, that Ratzah HaKadosh Baruch Hu livro, right, at the Olam B'din. God wanted to create the world B'din, right, Allah b'machshavto, it occurred to God in thought, but he saw that wouldn't work like that practically, so he partnered Rachamim and Din, right? So here again we have an instance where Chazal say there was a thought, a level of contemplation of creation that occurred to God, but in actuality God chose to do something differently. So that's a big question. What does that mean? Ve'od, and furthermore, shakatuv me'id shabaram, and yet the verse testifies that God created them. Ve'ech hayta machshava bilvad. It says zachar unekeva bar'am. How are you telling me that it occurred only in machshava, in thought? Ve'ech hayta machshava bilvad. How was it only on the level of thought? V'gam amro, and also the verse says shekarat shmam adam, that he called their names. Zachar unekeva. They existed. And he called them Adam. Nomar shelo nivro el echad. How can you say that they weren't initially created as one? Okay?
Does it say Shemam in plural in the text?
This is the sixth day, right? I believe. Zachar nekava bara otam. Vayivarach otam Elokim, vayom one second. Vayivra Elohim et ha'adam b'tzalmo, b'tzalmo Elohim bara otam, zachar nekeva bara otam. What's interesting here is it's reversed. It's singular that becomes two, also in the pasuk, not two that become one. right? Vayivra Elokim et ha'adam
Yeah,
b'tzalmo.
so that's
Right, we
other
spent a
question.
lot of time talking about that, right? Zachar nekeva bara otam, right? One of the approaches that we used before was that this is talking about the level of the race of humanity and talking about the perpetuation of the species, right? Vayivarech otam Elohim, and God blessed them and says, Vayomer lahem Elokim puravu umalu et haaretz v'kivshu urdu b'gatayim v'ov hashamayim v'chol. So it doesn't say that he called their names.
It doesn't say then.
Right, and the truth is,
So
God
why
didn't
is it-
call them Adam, right? We just had the midrash that said that Adam called himself Adam. So I guess what he means over here is that it says et ha'adam. When the pasuk Vayivra Elohim et ha'adam, what's it referring to? It's talking about Zachar and Nekeva that are both called. He called them ha'adam, bara otam, and they're ha'adam. So you see that a male version and a female version existed concurrently, independently, initially, and were both called Adam. That's
so
what
he's
he's
saying,
saying.
but machshava is which one? That they were both male and female? And
He's
in
saying-
he
yeah.
only made the male?
Yeah, the model that's being presented here from Rabbi Bo is as follows. On the level of thought, they were separate. But when God made them, he made them as one. It's kind of counterintuitive. You would think that they should stem from the same source. We're used to thinking, the Midrash, that they're back to back.
Yeah.
There was one creature back to back that was made
And they
half
separate.
male, half female, and God split them
Yeah.
and faced them, right?
Right.
So here we're talking about something else, or we're approaching it differently. And Rabbi Vo is actually saying that there was a level of thought that they were actually separate. See, the Alshech, once again, the Alshech's question, I'm just going to reiterate. Okay, there needs to be a woman. You just made a man, so I'll take another lump of clay, and I'll make a golem, and I'll breathe life into her, right? Why did if they need to be separate, and he understands they're going to be separate, why not make them? Why did he make it now from Adam? Why does he have to go into Adam and take a piece of Adam and fashion that into a Isha? That's very strange. So
There's a bigger question, even if Bemet b'machshava.
No, one second. We don't mention that. So to answer that, we bring Rabbi Val, who says, you know what? There's some. Once again, okay. So the question, the Alshech's question is, let God make a woman just like He made man, as opposed to making an extraction from man and fleshing her out. So in order to answer this, he raises this weird thing that Rabbi Vo says, that there was actually a level of thought and then a level of creation, and on the level of thought, they were separate. God did make them separately, but then in actuality, in fashioning them, they were made out of one. Meaning that the Adam that God extracts Chava from he put Chava into him. Meaning it was a being that had both one, even though on the level of thought they were separate. What does that mean? We don't understand that. That has to be explained.
Also, I'm surprised he didn't ask the other question, which was, if he really had the machshava to have them separate, so why did he create just one? Why didn't he create them
I think
at the same time? I'm saying.
Yeah.
Rather than extracting, there's two questions. There's the question of why extract one from the other, and the second question, why not create them both together at the same time, like he did the other animals?
I think he's saying that he did. Meaning, when you say on the level of machshava they were separate, that means that they were both created at the same time. Even though in the story, Lamaisa, it seems like she was made after him.
Right.
But really, if you say on the level of machshava they were both created, that means they're both created at the same time. Right?
They were both created at the same time.
On the level of machshava.
Right.
But in practicality, first there was an Adam, and then there was a woman that was extracted from him.
Right.
So, okay, let's see how he puts it. All your questions are correct. These are things that need to be understood. So let's see. Okay? Yeah.
If they were both created at the same time, why is it said it's not good for man to be alone?
Very good.
Why are we pretending, right? There's two souls in this body, but we're pretending that in the experience of the actual character, it's only a male seeking a female. So, meaning, is she latent inside him so deep that he doesn't even not aware of her and he's just operating? That's an excellent question. Okay. I don't even know if we're going to get to any of the answer today.
We'll do another paragraph.
Okay, so one more time. Rather initially, it was raised in thought, livro shnayim, to make two distinct, discrete, separate entities. But afterwards, in actuality, God only fashioned one. Vihine bezeh, which was, I guess, was it comprised of two or was only half? I think it was comprised of two, that's what he's saying. Vihine bezeh tachpa kushya, and if these words of Rabbi Vo, what he's proposing here, this will double our question. Lama lo asa k'machshavto, why did he indeed not do like his thought? why was it different? And also Shakatuv Meid Shabaram, and the pasuk actually seems not to be saying what Rabbi Vo says. It's testifying that he created both of them initially. How can you say that only occurred on the level of thought? And also when it says Shekaret Shmam Adam, that the verse says that both aspects, Zachar and Nekev Baratam, God related to them as Ha'adam, Adam. How can you say that only one was created? Okay? Meaning, how do you understand what Rabbi Vo is saying? Okay? Amnam yitachen, however, it would be conceivable. Ki lefanav yitbarach Allah b'machshava levrosh shnei gufim. God initially considered making two separate bodies, Zachar v'Nekeva. It's interesting. We're used to thinking that what makes a Zachar and Nekeva is its external form. It's the body that makes it Zachar and Nekeva, but it's not. It's saying here that there was two entities on the level of spiritual root that were, male and female, and they only had one body. Afer min ha'adama. So originally God wanted to make two different bodies, both Adam from the earth and independently Isha from the earth. However, so what we're going to do here is we're going to start talking about all the fine, intricate balances between how men and women are actually separate and how they're designed to be one. Where they need to be independent and alternatives, and where they're designed to be two sides of the same coin so that they can actually connect. So basically, on one level, on the level of machshava, God actually wants to create them as two separate beings. But in so doing, they will not have the ability to ever meaningfully connect. They will be two independents. And therefore they cannot truly have a union. Their union won't be beautiful, meaning it won't really work. Even now, even now, in a situation where God actually made the female from the male, Chazal say it's hard for them to get together like the miracle of Kriyat Yamsuf. Meaning there's something so funny about the nature of male and female in humanity that on one hand they're designed to be together, and on the other hand it's totally miraculous when they actually can. Right? So the inherent tension of all those stand-up routines about the men griping about the mysterious allure and the frustration of women, right? Can you imagine the gap that would be if they would initially have been created as separate entities and they didn't even come from the same, it's like they had to live in the same body just so that they can have feelings of familiarity and to be able to connect. So God said, listen, they're going to start off in one apartment. There's two cosmic forces are going to have to share a body. V'lo amar, so that when they do get separate bodies, they can share a body. V'lo amar, and it does not say lo vara ela et Adam. It doesn't say that God only created Adam, meaning the male part. Ki im ela echad, one. Rabbi Vo is not saying really God wanted to make man separate, woman separate, but in the end he just made one, meaning Adam, and then later he took her out of, meaning he took something from Adam and made it her. No. What he's saying, according to the Alshech HaKadosh, is that God made them both together in one body. Initially, he wanted to make two separate bodies, but in act, meaning that they exist independently in thought, and yet in actuality, they both share a body and they come from the same body. Okay? Ve'ein tzarich lomar l'Rabbeinu Zal, right? And you don't have to come on to the statement of the rabbis in Brachot, shedu partzuf and nivro, that they were initially one body that was two-sided, right? The two-faced wonder. Shahaita nefesh hazachar bepartzufa v'nefesh hanekev bepartzufa, that the nefesh of male and the nefesh of female existed together, each with their separate face or their separate presentation or manifestation in the same guf, ushneim guf echad, but they shared a guf. It wasn't like the two-sided monster. Ki im af im nomar kipshat hakatuv. Even if you wanted to say, just on the level of the simple reading of the verse, we can understand that these two separate souls, a male soul and a female soul, that ultimately, in the future, would reside in separate bodies. Min ha'afar hayu beguf echad. From the inception of the creation of the body from the dirt, from the level of the dust, they were already incorporated as one. Shel hazachar beguf v'shel hanekeva betzela. That the man was in the guf, and the woman, the consciousness, the nefesh of nekeva, was renting out space in the tzela, in the side. Oh, she wasn't renting out space. I'm kidding. She was localized, meaning that was the part of the guf that she resided in. She nivret mimeno, and she was created from him, or from that part of the guf, kifi da'atenu, the way we understand. Okay, it's chaval to end off here because we're in the middle of a thought,
Okay,
but we'll wait with bated breath.
Yes.
Okay?
Something you look forward
Baruch
to.
Hashem li'olam, amen v'amen.
So basically, just to
Yeah.
recap, you're saying that they were both made together from the same clay.
They existed independently on
existed.
the level of nefesh, but they were crammed into one body.
So they were created together, separate, but crammed into one body.
Right, and they weren't really crammed because the body was predominantly atoms, and she just resided in the tzela.
That in itself needs understanding.
Right, that's the tough part about pausing here.
Okay.
Okay,
All right. Shkoyach.
okay, so, gentlemen,